Hello and welcome to another episode of MenTalk2 Presents. So today I've got a really special guest with me. So I have Brad Gartland. So Brad, first and foremost, welcome to MenTalk2 Presents.
You all right? Thanks for having us on.
Pleasure, mate. So
Thank you.
Brad, just as a quick introduction, we met last year, didn't we? Where we were both invited into BBC Radio Manchester onto the Mike Sweeney show. And we were interviewed for the same reason, but from different aspects, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
My impact was with regards to Andy's Man Club, and for yourself, it was to do with the Stephen Gartland Foundation. So a good place to start is just kind of give us a bit of background in terms of the foundation, and then we can take it from there, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. So the foundation was set up towards the end of 2016. So a bit of context. My dad took his own life, for those that don't know, in August 2016. And we set the foundation up solely to keep his name going, and just to help people out in the local community, because that was just his nature. He was a very giving person, and he always liked to help people, whether that was at rugby, like my mates, like his workmates, like anyone. He just liked to help people. So as soon as he went, we was like, how can we carry on his like love and appreciation in the community? So that was like one of the first reasons. And then also to just help people as well, in terms of with the mental health on social media platforms. So I've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and I'm just really trying to utilise that to post positive messages all the time. Especially now we've got a bit of a negative time for some people as well. So I just really want to kind of like post positive things on them pages.
That's amazing, and I remember I'm a rugby league fan, so I remember actually knowing your dad's name. I obviously didn't know him personally, but know his name. So he was a rugby league player.
Yeah.
And growing up. So what was that like, kind of growing up with a rugby league player in the house?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different aspects, I suppose. Because first and foremost, he was, from my experience anyway, he was this loving family man at home. And then the other aspect was his rugby league profession, in which he played for Swinton, Rochdale, Hornets, Oldham, then played at Mayfield towards the end of his career, and also coached my team from about the age of under 6 to about under 17s. So I had quite a lot of different insights towards my dad in terms of being a family man at home and then seeing him on a rugby pitch as well. So it was quite interesting, and we actually spent quite a lot of time with each other because of that. So he'll go to work, come home, I'll come back from school, tea on the table, and we'll go straight to training, whether it was my training or his, because he coached me and then I just watched them train anyway. Then at the weekend he'd have rugby on a Saturday for his game, and then on a Sunday he'll be waking me up at 8 in the morning to go play my games as well. So I suppose rugby really brought us together, which was quite a nice thing.
Yeah, that's it's really special. That sounds like a really special bond that you both had. And was there kind of any warning? Was it in terms of with his death by suicide? Was there any kind of signs that you kind of look back on now, or that you're aware of?
So I think initially when if we take ourselves back about just over 4 years, no, not for maybe like the 5 months before. But I suppose that he kind of, he said that he probably weren't sleeping as much, and started to probably say that there were little issues that were bothering him, maybe about 2 months before, and we did talk about them. We had counselling in place, etc. So there were a lot of avenues of support for him. But if we take ourselves back maybe 7 years, he probably still would have maybe been thinking a bit negatively, but just kept it to himself. And, that could have been because of the rugby environment. If you get a knock on the pitch, you carry on. And, maybe later down the line, if you get a mental knock, that's kind of the way I think of it.
Mm.
You might just think you just got to carry it on because that's been in your nature all the time to kind of grin and bear it. But towards the end, he did say he was kind of, had little things on his mind, but he couldn't pinpoint them. He couldn't pinpoint a specific thing. He couldn't isolate an incident in his life that kind of caused him to feel like he did. And that was one of the things that frustrated him the most, is that you could have as much conversation with him, but he never seems to get to the bottom of it. I believe he could have got to the bottom of it, because things take time, and, if you talk enough. But I never thought that it'd have ended like that. I just thought that, in next year's time, like in another year time and stuff, like you'd be improving, then you'd be improving again, then be improving again. I never ever expected it just to finish like that on Friday the 19th of August at all. Like, that was just something that I never kind of seen coming at all.
Yeah, it's devastating to kind of think that was the option that he felt that only option for him to take. And how old were you when he died?
19.
19.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
So you just finished your first year of uni?
Yeah, just finished my first year of uni, going into second year.
Okay. And how did that kind of affect you then from a university point of view? Because we hear a lot about the kind of university life, and it's a very aspirational thing to kind of go to university. But for something like that to happen after the first year, how did that kind of affect you going forward?
Yeah, so I've said this a few times initially, because it happened in August, and in Durham they start back the terms in October. So for that time I was just completely numb. And when I went back to uni, I didn't see him that much when I was at uni. So it just you're just missing like the texts and the calls. But then I suppose it wasn't until I came back for Christmas that's like kind of when it really hit. And then when I went back to uni afterwards, that's probably when things started to go downhill for me a bit, because even though you've got all your family and your friends and stuff with like your social media networks, and you've got all that, you still feel isolated in your little room in Durham, stuck in the northeast. And it was quite a lonely place for me at the time, because I didn't understand how to think, and I didn't kind of I just didn't understand how to think and how to talk to myself positively. So I started to internalize things a lot, and probably go out and drink a lot more than what I used to, because I was never really that bothered by drinking. But then all of a sudden, I'd go out and I'd have a lot more than what I ever used to have, and then you come home and then you'd be even more negative to yourself as well, because, the university life, you drink in the week, drink at weekend. There's no kind of set weekday and weekend. Every day just merges into one, because you're working all the time, and you drink, you're just drinking in the evening. So I suppose that was quite a bit of a negative thing for me, actually. Whereas a lot of people associate going out with positive connotations, that was probably a negative thing for me, because maybe I was trying to drink to forget, and then I woke up in the morning and realised what situation I was in, and then, you're hungover and you're facing reality at the same time, and that's not the best place to be sometimes.
Yeah, I think men are more likely to use negative coping strategy, drinking, like drugs and things. I heard a good saying recently that sort of excessive drinking or drug taking is borrowing from tomorrow's happiness.
Yeah.
So you do that on the night you wake up, and you kind of you're in turmoil, aren't you? In terms of, like you say, that kind of feeling of isolation. I can't imagine. So how did you kind of come around from that then? What were the sort of things that you put into place to start that gradual improvement in yourself, and to get your degree as well? As well.
I just had to admit everything to my mum. I just had to kind of hold my hands up and say, listen, I'm kind of struggling here. I'm thinking of dropping out, basically, is what I said to her. She was like, well, we're not having any of this. Like, you're in a really good position. I couldn't see it at the time. I couldn't see where I was in my life. I just seen the fact that I've lost my dad, and that's my world finished. Like, what's the point in going to uni? Why do I need a degree? I'd just go home and get a job. Like, I wasn't even bothered remotely. I was normally the most passionate person when it came to studying. I'd study all the time for A-levels, first year of uni, then all of a sudden I just didn't care. But admitting it to my mum, she's talked a lot of sense into me, and she was on the phone for hours all the time. countless number of times, and I can't thank her enough for that. And I say to her, and I say to everyone that I wouldn't have finished it without her, because she gave me that different avenue of thoughts that I couldn't give myself. I can now because I've built my own thought processes up in my head, but at the time I didn't have them tools to think. And then secondly, a counsellor, just because of that, there was no personal connection there as well. So maybe you might have opened up a bit more, felt like you weren't, because my mum had other things to do as well. And as much as she wants to help me, I know that she's got her own thing, and it's still good to talk to our family members, but I just knew I had to talk to a counsellor as well, because that really helped. And that also gave me more tools. So you can never talk to too many people, there's always different people to talk to. And just because you talk to one person doesn't mean you can't talk to another. But talking definitely helped.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when you talk to different people, you get different perspectives as well.
Yeah.
And I think again, for me personally, depending on what the topic is, will depend on who I talk to.
Yeah.
Quite often, and that's because of the perspective of the other person that I suppose that you're talking to. And I guess at times you would have felt with your mum that obviously your mum was going through losing a husband. You probably, I suppose, did you feel that you were burdening her as well because she was dealing with what she was going through as well?
Yeah, exactly. Because we all had our own individual experiences, I suppose, because my mum lost her husband, I lost her dad, and, his mum lost her son, so there's loads of different experiences. But I suppose by talking about it, we could help understand each other, which helps you grow closer and then move forward at the same time. Because if we didn't talk about it, we'd never understand each other. And, if you get annoyed at something, someone might not understand why you're annoyed at that thing, and then it's just that lack of communication. So I suppose definitely talking to her sorted me out big time, like a lot.
Yeah.
And looking back on it now, you can just see it. I can just see it straight away.
Okay, that's amazing. And then going on, so you obviously graduated last year.
Yeah.
Was it last year? Yeah. So that must have been a proud day for you, considering considering the challenge that you've experienced, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't believe it at first, because I graduated with, I put a lot of pressure on myself anyway, and I never expected myself to graduate with first, and doing that and thinking about everything I've been through and all them times when you thought that was it, I'm quitting, I'm dropping out, that just kind of, that one day just epitomized, kind of just says, all them times you thought of giving up, don't do it, don't give up. You just got to keep going. As hard as it is, you'd have some really rubbish days and you'd have some really good days, but just have hope when the days are bad, and when the good days come, just embrace them, and then you will get to your goal eventually. However long it takes, 3, 4 years, 5 years, a month, it don't matter. Just don't give up. That's just the key message from my experience at uni, anyway.
Yeah. And then you've gone into to work for a pharmaceutical research company. You were telling me, because I don't understand that world. And you've, I suppose, within the year that you've been employed by these guys, you'll have seen some huge change, if for no other reason than because of COVID.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the good thing about my work as well is that we always have weekly, we're all working from home now. I think I had about 3-4 months in the office, because I started last November, and then it's just been working from home. But, the managers always check in. You've always got your set weekly team talks on Microsoft Teams and stuff. So, yeah, it's quite good, really. You can always check in all the time. We've got our own WhatsApp groups and stuff. It's quite an open place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's kind of really positive, isn't it? Because I think one of the areas that a lot of businesses have, the challenge that they've gone through is staying connected when you're not in there, especially if you're an office-based business.
Yeah.
So the likes of WhatsApp groups, likes of Teams, they play a huge part. But I think we all still miss that kind of catching up over a coffee, bumping into someone in the kitchen, if you like, and having a 5-minute chat about football or rugby or weekend or whatever it is. And I think that's the bit that feels a bit engineered, doesn't it, on Teams, because everything's scheduled against a call. So that's kind of one area, but it's amazing to kind of hear that. And then, so talk to me more about the foundation. You kind of started off there in terms of it was set up to keep your dad's name going, which is incredible, and wanted to kind of honor his profile, I guess, if you like, and wanting to help people. Talk us through some of the projects that you guys have been involved with, the foundation, and some local businesses that you've been able to kind of make some
of course.
funding to.
So luckily, for the period of last year, we was the Mayor of Oldham's, one of the Mayor of Oldham's chosen charities. So yeah, that was kind of like a real honour, and we attended quite a few events. There was a mental health awareness. I think the World Mental Health Day last year was in Oldham Town Centre with Tog Mind, so Tameside, Oldham and Glossop Mind, and the Samaritans, and then a few others as well. Turning Point were there. So that was quite a nice event to be a part of, and just talk to them, because, you know, I always, based on my experience, whenever I'm talking to somebody who works for one of these organisations, everyone's got their own personal reason of why they're involved in it. So it's quite nice for me to be involved in events like them and actually ask people questions, and they ask me questions, and then you kind of understand everyone's avenues as well. And we've helped quite a few local businesses as well. The RSPCA in Rochdale the other week, they had a bit of quite a big flood, and quite a lot of stuff were damaged, and they're just funded by themselves, so they literally was really struggling, on the verge of kind of collapse. So we help them as well, because they've got quite a few initiatives for positive mental health as well that I talk to them about. And then just local families as well, funding disability aids, or there was a bit of a room conversion for a lad that that struggled to get to his room, so we just had a bit of a soft play area around the back of the house. So just kind of nice things like that. And then on top of Rugby Kitchen will have the SG6 on the arm. That promotes conversation in the changing rooms in the clubhouse after the game. You've got them on the after match tops. So it's just kind of try to have that presence within the community about talking, and then also funding projects as well.
It's incredible, and the legacy that will leave is amazing, and I suppose a true kind of gesture to your dad as well. Yeah,
completely. Completely.
And what are the hopes for the future then, for the foundation and for you, really, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the foundation, as long as I just want to help. Just that, it's always a cliche saying, and you just want to help that one person, because I've had so many messages from posts that I've done, videos that I've put on, and that's just what I just want to keep doing, and just knowing that people can turn to us if they've got a problem. We can help them in whichever way we can, whether that's financially or just by talking to them, because we're not professionals. But I'd happily just have a phone conversation with someone, and then point them in the right directions to professionals as well. I suppose it's just giving people that opportunity to reach out and talk, and giving them the courage as well. So that's where I kind of just see the foundation focusing. Then in terms of myself, I'm in quite a good place now, so it's quite nice for me to be in this headspace, which is so positive. But it didn't happen overnight. It's took nearly 4 years to do. It's been a massive project, and sometimes you've been on the dip, sometimes but it's just that's just life. So it's quite nice now that I'm in quite a good positive headspace, and I've got the thing. I know exactly what makes me tick and what doesn't make me tick. So I suppose it's just keep choosing the right things, and then leaving out the negative things as well. So being quite self-aware. So yeah.
Amazing. And where can people find you and the foundation online? You're across all social media, aren't you? But give yourselves a plug and what it included.
Yeah, just specifically Facebook and Instagram. I'm hopeless with Twitter, so I kind of stay away from it. I think we have an account, but I don't know what I'm doing with Twitter. But yeah, just at Stephen Gartland Foundation with a PH, just all one word, and then I'll be on there. And then Facebook and Instagram, just Brad Gartland, because I just try and post as much positive stuff as well on my personal accounts, because we all have different outreaches. You know, the foundation might have people that my dad knew and other people that I don't know that are following them, but then my following as well will be different. So I just try and dual post on all forms.
Amazing. Well, Brad, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for having us
You're
on.
An impressive young lad, and I look forward to hopefully collaborating with you on more stuff going forward.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll have to do a lot more stuff together in the future.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And cheers, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be around for more episodes of MenTalk2 Presents in the near future. Cheers. Bye.